Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tally and I'm a personal trainer. Now this video is a part 2 to a video I've already made, which is about my journey from controlled and obsessive calorie counting and dieting to intuitive eating and joyful movement. So the first part was very much centered around my journey, my experiences, and talking you through that process, and I also touch on what intuitive eating is. In this video, I'm going to be answering your questions about my experience with intuitive eating. Now, I just want to say before we get into this that if you are struggling with your relationship with food and exercise, it's okay, but I'm going to share some links below that may help you because sometimes we can't do it alone and we need help. So I'm going to list a set of resources. And also I should add, I am a personal trainer. I'm not a therapist, I'm not an intuitive eating counsellor, but I'm going to do my best to speak from my experience and share some suitable resources for you below. So I just want to quickly summarise for people who are joining us for part 2 only. Intuitive Eating is a book written by 2 dietitians, Elise Resch and Evelyn Triboulet, and it is a framework of 10 principles that are aimed to help you build trust and awareness within your body. Diet culture and diets and the world makes us think that we don't know how to eat, that we can't be trusted basically. And intuitive eating turns that on its head and makes you realize that we know what to do all along. Our bodies are super clever, they know what to do when we know how to listen to it and when we can block out all that outside noise telling us we can't do it. By the way, I've kept all these questions anonymous because I know that this is kind of a sensitive topic and I know not everyone's going to want to openly talk about their relationship with food, so I'm just gonna keep it anonymous to respect all of you. Do you feel guilty if you've overeaten and not trained? In the past, yes, I absolutely did. Because I felt like I'd eaten too much, I needed to somehow counteract it with exercise. But now, thanks to intuitive eating, I don't really overeat because part of the principles are hunger and listening to your hunger and understanding your fullness and understanding what satisfies you. I'm a lot better at listening to that. That was something I really struggled with. I really struggled with stopping when I was full, and I often would just want to eat more and more. And sometimes I do, because sometimes I just love food. I also don't feel guilt around food, and if a guilt thought pops up in my mind, I challenge that. I'm thinking, why am I feeling guilty about this? No, Tally, like, think about all the work you've done, think about what you've learned. No food is good, no food is bad. You can just enjoy this food for what it is. How would you figure out how much to eat if you're wanting to lose weight? Okay, so intuitive eating is not about weight loss. Some people who engage in intuitive eating might lose weight. Some people might gain weight. Some people might stay the same. It's never about losing weight. And if you read the first kind of chapter of the book, and particularly when it discusses about the diet mentality, you have to put weight loss on the back burner when you're approaching intuitive eating. And I know that's really hard to get your head around because we often think of health and fitness as losing weight, going on a diet, losing body fat. Like, that's what it's kind of been boiled down to. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way at all. I really believe in health and fitness as a tool to support your mental health, as something for fun, as an empowering thing, as something to make you fitter and stronger. But we lose that narrative because diet culture shouts a bit louder and tells us it's all about losing body fat, how to get visible abs, getting ready for your bikini holiday and all that kind of stuff. I personally don't want to lose weight and I don't encourage people to go on the pursuit of weight loss. A key thing, one of the key learnings of intuitive eating and kind of the non-diet approach in general is understanding the science, the huge evidence that shows us that diets don't work. And actually, when we lose weight, we pretty much always gain it back. And when we gain it back, we often increase our set point weight, which means we lose weight, we gain weight again. We lose weight, then we gain weight again, and we lose weight and we gain weight again. Your weight yo-yoing can be more harmful than your weight staying a steady weight. So in short, I don't figure out how I'm going to lose weight because it's not what it's about. Similar to the first question, but what do you say What do you do or say to yourself at times when you've overeaten and guilty voices pop up? Like I said before, I question it. I just say, why do I feel guilty about this? What is the old rule or the old thought, or what is diet culture? I call it the diet culture voice. What is it saying to me? Okay, and be aware of it. I think when you start to get a little niggly voice, that's when you're testing your comfort zone. All great things happen when you step outside your comfort zone. So I just encourage you to challenge that, to be aware of it, and to fight it, to push back against it. The next question is, how do I navigate being around Fitspo influencers in life and at work? So I spoke about in the first video how I felt a lot of pressure around being in the fitness industry as a personal trainer, particularly when my body changed and I felt like I didn't look as ripped as before and I wasn't training as hard as before. I was worried that I wouldn't feel validated within my industry. And I also spoke about the pressure and the comparison I often put on myself against other Fitspos. For a long time, I felt like I would have been more successful, my platforms would have grew to larger followings had I looked differently, had I been prettier, had my body looked differently, had I shared more images of my body on the internet. However, I have really had to look inside myself. I've really had to do a lot of work on my own self-esteem and my own confidence around my accepting my body, accepting my looks. Through intuitive eating, through this process of rejecting diets, through this process of accepting my body, through all of that, I've really learned to, and had headspace, finally had headspace to work out who I am, what I stand for, what am I going to do within this industry, how can I change it, how can I change it for the better, how can I use my platform to the best effect. Right now my career is thriving, and I really attribute that to letting go of all the bullshit and all the chatter in my head and focusing on me, my happiness, and making a difference. And also just practically, when it comes to social media, I really believe in diversifying your feed, diversify the people's opinions, people's perspectives, listen to other people's stories. I'm gonna list some really great people below. I particularly think in health and fitness space, it's really important we see different bodies exercising. So I follow a lot of people who are plus size fitness people, because I think it just breaks so many stereotypes and so many misconceptions, and I love it. I also follow a lot of people who are educational, who teach me stuff. I'm following people in body positivity. I'm also following people in intuitive eating community, in the health at every size community, and I'm just listening and I'm reading and I'm trying to learn and hear as much as possible, because I think if you follow one type of person on Instagram, and let's think of the typical Gymshark athlete, for example, that often gets boiled down to one body type, and it's often someone who's like a low body fat, lean, usually white, and they have a certain hip to waist ratio and all that kind of stuff. And we forget that a lot of those people are there because of their genetics, and actually there are many different body types in the world, but we just don't get to see them. So you can control your social media and diversify your feed. And so by seeking out other people who look differently, who have different experiences, it will only help you have a greater appreciation for your body, to have greater perspective on this whole thing. I just think it will help loads. Next question. Did you have binges when you started eating whatever you like? I can say that I've never binged, and I think there's a bit of a confusion between like binge eating disorder and what other people consider like a binge, where you just eat a pot of ice cream. Binge eating disorder is a type of eating disorder, and it's really serious, and people who are going through it, if you feel like you're going through it, you need to go to your GP and ask for help. And I'm going to leave some links below to Beat the Eating Disorder charity, because it helps define what binge eating disorder is, and if you recognise those symptoms within yourself, you need to get help. You deserve help, and you deserve care, and you deserve help to get you through it. But were there times when I sat and ate a pot of ice cream pretty much on my own? Yes. That's not a binge in the clinical sense. I didn't do it much. And like I said before, because I've now, like, food is now neutral for me. There's foods that make me feel really good, and there's foods I really like, and I'm really enjoying just like having food that I haven't had for years again. like things like I didn't eat pasta for so long, and I'm really loving pasta at the moment. I'm loving pastries at the moment. Like I hadn't eaten pastry for so long because in the past I was like really gluten-free, and that was part of my one of my food rules. So I'm just enjoying like having crumpets and croissants and lots of bread and pasta. So that's what I'm kind of enjoying at the moment, because those were like on my shit list, shall we say. How did you find the balance to eat intuitively but not use it as an excuse to eat everything and anything? I think there's a big thing with intuitive eating, and when I've interacted with you guys online about it, it's like we've all got our list of foods that are like acceptable, and then as Laura Thomas puts it, we have our shit list. The food that freaks us out, that gives us anxiety, that if we eat it, we're suddenly gonna double in size overnight. We give those foods so much power over us. I think we think as soon as we can eat those things, we're only going to eat those things, and we're only gonna eat them all day, every day, and you won't have any control of what you're eating. And I think it's very individual and it depends on the person, but I think you really have to test your boundaries. Like I have certainly tested my boundaries, and there will be experimentation and there will be working out what your boundaries are and what your limits are with certain things, but you won't go crazy. I was listening to a fantastic podcast with a dietitian called Paige Smathers and the founder of Intuitive Eating, Evelyn Tribole, on Paige's podcast called Nutrition Matters. I'm going to link it below. It was a fantastic episode, and it really touches on so many of these themes in this Q&A today that I would strongly recommend you go and listen to it, because I think it's gonna bust a ton of the myths that we all have around intuitive eating, particularly with the if I'm allowed to eat chips, I'm only gonna eat chips kind of mentality. Next question, what if you start putting on weight when you eat intuitively? Like I said, some people might lose weight, some people might gain weight, some people might stay the same. I think it really comes down to your starting point with intuitive eating. We all each have our own individual relationships with food, and our bodies are gonna respond differently. I think we need to get to the root of why we're scared to gain weight in the first place. Why is gaining weight so terrible? Why is body fat so shameful? Why is fatness shameful? Where did the shame come from? Where's the stigma come from around that? A lot of our society is very fat phobic. We're scared of fatness, and it's a deep-rooted thing, and it gets quite political, and I'm not going to go too in-depth into it now, but I just think we have to question ourselves. Why are we so scared of being fat? Why is fat so bad? Here's the thing, our bodies are super smart. We all have a set point weight where our body likes to thrive, where our body feels really good at, and for you to like gain loads of weight, like you would really have to turn your lifestyle on its head. If you read the book, if you look into the research, you can be fat and you can be healthy. Obviously, being at either like huge extreme end of the spectrum, the weight spectrum, then okay, it's going to come with its health risks, absolutely, but you can have a bit of body fat on you and you can be healthy. I think we get so obsessed with the number on the scale and the number of inches around our waist, and actually it's about engaging in health behaviors. It is about moving regularly in a way you enjoy. It is about trusting your body and listening to your body and enjoying all foods that work for you. It's about getting enough sleep, it's about drinking enough water, it's about regular self-care, and when you do all those things, your body finds the point at which it likes to thrive, and that's when your body's healthiest and happiest. Just remember that. Just think about those things. When you're scared of gaining weight, just ask yourself why. What's the terrible thing that's going to happen? And this nicely segues onto the next question. How did you learn to accept yourself in a bigger body? My body hasn't drastically changed. I am in a slightly bigger body, but I still am very slim, and that comes with a lot of privilege in itself, which is a whole other conversation, but I do hold a lot of thin privilege where people don't really comment on my weight, and that's not an issue that I have to face, and so it's not something that I have to worry about too much. But I have gone up dress sizes, I have had to get new clothes, and a lot of that for me is realizing that that's my body. Right now I'm in a really good headspace, I'm in a really happy point in my life, and my body reflects where I'm at, and it reflects me feeling good. So if this is what my body does when I look after myself, when I'm caring for it, then I'm cool with that. But I think it's also important to note that I'm also quite neutral about my body now. I don't love it. Like, well, no, that's not true. Sometimes I do love it, but majority of the time I'm not thinking about it. I'm quite neutral about it. I don't give it that much power. I used to check myself in the mirror all the time, but now I don't really. I don't feel the need to, because I'm more concerned with who I am as a person. I think if I'm checking anything, I'm making sure I'm a nice person, I'm caring, I'm good to my friends, I'm good to my relationship, I'm trying to do the right thing by my family, and try to be a good citizen in general. So that's more of my concern right now than my body. Do you eat depending on your workouts you have planned that day, i.e. do you eat less carbs on rest days? Now, in the past, I absolutely used to do this. I absolutely would be like, oh, I'm not doing as much. If I'm not working out, I'm not gonna eat as much, blah, 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 blah. However, with intuitive eating, you're just listening to when you're hungry. So if I'm hungry, regardless of what day it is, I'm gonna eat. And if I'm not particularly hungry, on a training day or a non-training day, I'm probably not gonna eat. Likelihood is, on a training day, I'm gonna want to eat more food because naturally my body's using more energy, so it's gonna tell me it needs more. But sometimes on rest days, I also get really, really hungry, so I'm just gonna honor that. So I just honor whatever my body's telling me, really. How did you overcome anxiety when reducing exercise when you first started doing so? So in the first video, I spoke at length about my journey with food and exercise, and I didn't really talk about exercise. So this is a really good opportunity to just touch on that. So I was working out really intensely, and exercise became a real crutch for me. It was very much my stress release, and it was my time away from a really stressful environment of drama school. However, it also became something where it was about changing my body, because that's something I could control. I spoke about in the video, I started to lose a lot of weight, and I started to worry about losing a lot of weight. And advice I had at the time from a trainer that worked in my gym. I didn't have a personal trainer, but I kind of like befriended this guy. And he said, have you thought about stopping cardio? And so that's one thing I did do. I did stop cardio, and I was still weight training a lot. I now realize I was weight training too much. But I did stop cardio, and do you know what? I didn't feel too bad about it, because at that point I was worried about my weight. Like, I had lost a lot and my clothes weren't fitting me, and so I was aware of that, and I did think I need to do something about this. I don't want to keep just going down and down and down. We need to level out here somewhere, or perhaps come up a little bit. So stopping cardio was the right thing to do at that point. Gradually reducing exercise happened over a long period of time, and it largely just came due to time. I just didn't have the time I used to have to go to the gym. Like, I used to be in the gym for so long every day, and I was there for it had to be at least an hour every day, and I was there, 5 to 6 days a week most days. Now I go to the gym maybe once or twice a week for 45 minutes. I teach spin classes. I don't really do much like formal exercise. I might be walking places, and I'm pretty active, but I'm not rigid with that, and I'm also very flexible with how much I'm exercising and how long for, and also what I'm doing. And so because I had so much rigidity around my exercise routine as well, like I very much followed a bodybuilder split, so I was doing like legs, upper body, back, glutes, biceps, and all that kind of stuff. Part of me challenging my rules around exercise and challenging my motivation around exercise has to kind of been to throw all the rules out the window and start doing stuff in the gym that I enjoy. So I used to train in a certain way, and I was like, do you know what? I'm not loving that at the moment, and it feels like a bit of a chore when I'm here, so I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to go and play in the gym again. I'm going to go and get out like the battle ropes, and I'm going to do more functional stuff, or I'm going to go do a class that I really like. Or I don't feel like doing gym stuff, I'm going to go do yoga. So I've just played and experimented a lot more in the gym with what I enjoy doing rather than what I feel I should do, which has made me really enjoy exercise again. Okay guys, that is the end of the questions, and there were a ton of questions on this topic, and I have no doubt in my mind that there are probably going to be more questions in the comments below. Do let me know what you thought, and if this was helpful, let me know if you watched part 1 and part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, I strongly suggest you go and do so. I am going to list a ton of resources in the comments below for you, and the appropriate help if you need it as well. Guys, thank you so much, and please do like the video, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, because it really supports my channel. I don't have a huge channel on YouTube, so every single comment, like and subscription is massive. So yeah, subscribe as well, put the bell notification on, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Goodbye.